Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today for today's Manna and Mercy lesson number 12. Now, before I get started with today's reading, I want to ask you a very important question. How do you relax? How do you unwind after a long day? Maybe you've been at school, maybe you've been at music rehearsal, maybe you've been playing sports. And, after all of those things and those commitments, sometimes we feel overwhelmed and sometimes we just want to relax. Now, I want to know, how do you relax? Maybe you play video games or board games with someone. Maybe you talk to the adults in your life or a friend. Maybe you read a good book. Maybe you take a nap or go on a long walk. Personally, I love going on walks. They're a perfect way for me to kind of clear my head and be with God in nature and just kind of take all the tension and all of the noise that is in my head out of the way and kind of gives me a chance to just kind of breathe. And it's important to relax. It's important to kind of take a moment to not get always tied up in our day-to-day lives. And in fact, by doing that, we are practicing one of God's gifts, the Sabbath. Now, in last week's video, we talked about the 10 Commandments, and commandment number 4 was remembering the Sabbath day and keeping it holy. And in today's story, we talk a little bit more about the Sabbath and what that could look like. Now, in today's story, I want you to listen very closely and see if you hear any ways that you practice Sabbath. Now, God's gift of Sabbath was something that God gave to the partner people, and it's a way for them to relax for a little bit and for God to help them remember the idea of manna. So, we'll get started with today's story. The grandest part of the covenant word, the Torah, was the teaching about Sabbath. God's gift of time. Time for resting, time for playing, time for singing, time for frolicking, feasting, time for praying, time for storytelling, and a time for savoring friendships and relationships with God and others and nature. Remember, friendship is what life is all about, not piling stuff up and hoarding it. According to the Torah, the gift of Sabbath will be honored in 3 forms. The Sabbath day, the 7th day of the week, the Sabbath year, the 7th year, and the Jubilee year, the 15th year, the grand Sabbath year. On Sabbath days, the partner people will rest. What a gift of grace. God lets the people know the world will not fall apart if they do not work all the time. It doesn't even fall apart when God takes a day off. On Sabbath years, many joyful things will happen. The people in the land will rest. Work animals will enjoy rest and refreshment. There will be an abundant food for all. All debts will be canceled, one way to keep Pharaoh's Egypt from happening. All slaves will go free with the help to start again. On Jubilee years, all land lost because of debt or misfortune will go back to the original inheritor. God's way of assuring that this society will never become like Pharaoh's Egypt, with rich and poor, land hoarders and landless. And by keeping the Jubilee, this people will live as God's contrast society. Now we have 2 pictures in today's story. We have this somebody who's working in the fields saying, "This is bad news for workaholics." Now, workaholics is a term for people who all they want to do is work. It feels that they're super focused, and sometimes that they just want to work and work and work. And sometimes I'm guilty of that too. And I think all of us are sometimes. But the Sabbath is a day for us to remember that sometimes it's okay, or not sometimes, it is okay for us to take a break every once in a while. In our second picture, we have someone practicing the Sabbath by playing music and expressing jubilation or jubilee. Would the partner people remain faithful to the covenant life? Would they continue to live the manna way? If they were to remain faithful, Yahweh knew that they would have to hold on to 2 qualities in balance: righteousness and mercy. Yahweh understood that righteousness without mercy leads to grumpy legalism. On the other hand, mercy without righteousness leads to wishy-washy sentimentality. The lover God wondered, how can the people be helped to hold the two in balance? How can they be deepened, enriched, and renewed in life of righteousness and mercy? After thinking and thinking, Yahweh decided to give the beloved people one more gift, the gift of worship. And we'll be talking about the gift of worship next week. I hope you enjoyed today's story, and I hope that you take time out of your week to remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy by keeping things in balance, working hard, but also taking time to play and relax, whether that be going outside, going on a walk, and doing something that helps you feel refreshed. And maybe you and your family this week can find times to remember the Sabbath together. I'll see you all next week, and I hope you have a great and restful week. Bye.